everyone, in this video essay I'll be talking about benefit of being small game development studio. Game development studios come in a variety of sizes, and while some small studios consist of a single developer, larger studios may have many departments with large numbers of employees. While comparing a game development studio with the size being large and small, let's see one example of a small game development studio, which is Ostu Fampany Limited. The word Fampany is combination of two words, family and company. This is a London-based software development studio focused on digital design, such as clean and elegant user interfaces. This Fampany was founded by two youths, Matt Miller and John Sinclair. One of the games developed by this company is Alba, a wildlife adventure. This is an open-world adventure game that focuses on exploring the world and conserving wildlife. Being a small game development studio, they only have 200 employees in the company, and their annual budget is around $1.4 million. On the other hand, a large game development studio like Rockstar Games has many more employees and much larger budget. The estimated budget for game development inside Rockstar Game Studio is around $1 billion, and they have more than 2,000 employees. When comparing small and large game development studios, it is important to focus on the funding, map sizes, and focus on combat in the game. The funding for a small studio is not too extensive. Most of the developers fund their projects through self-funding. This money comes from personal assets, friends and family, and other forms of employment. Though the funding is less, the outcome from the small budget are impressive. This outcome proves that funding is not a hindrance to explore the creativity in making or developing new games. According to WatchMojo, he lists out top 10 games that have been competing with big or large games. The games that secured top 3 positions among the top 10 were Stardew Valley, Bloodstained, and The Outer Worlds. In small world games, a person can focus on the individual growth while they can explore their creativity without having the pressure of substantial profit expectations. It allows the developers and creative to explore new and exciting ideas. These types of studios keep an open gate for the generation of fresh ideas, where developers aren't afraid of taking risk of doing something different, which allows the employers to experiment with the quirky ideas. For example, in the game Alba, a wildlife adventure, the character wants to help the dolphin, which was washed to the shore of the ocean. With the help of other people, they carry the dolphin and save its life. Making such interaction with game characters, people will more engage in small world games. A masterpiece can be created with ideas and skills rather than big budgets. There are many small studios that outcast other big gaming companies such as Ninja Theory Limited, Kuzu Entertainment, Supermassive Games Limited, and TT Games Limited. A small studio can have high profit margins even with small funding. Smaller and independent projects can prove to be more successful than working for large companies. Even though large companies hire a lot of employees and have more investments, the games are expensive and the profit margins are really hard to predict. Hence, nothing is really certain. The industry is a risky one. Small studios give the people working there a power to utilize their technology and also focus on single product which is likely to succeed, while big studios work on so many big projects which have high risk. Larger studios mainly focus on making the same type of games over and over, which doesn't let the employers explore their creativity. So the funding goes for the same thing again and again without any good outcome. Smaller studios tend to have smaller maps for their games. It is really easy for the player to keep their orientation in the small map. Also, the plus point is that the developers find it really easy to design such map sizes. Most of the players prefer to choose a smaller map size than the full map in a game. The map being small doesn't matter unless the map is great. Rocket League, being the greatest hit game of all time, has one of the smallest maps. Smallest studios artists design games with smaller maps that often have a larger feel for the player, which proves that the content matters the most. When you are in a game with smaller maps, then you realize you reach a certain point or level and then you rest for a while. When you find yourself enjoying the game and you cannot wait for the ending to reach the final level. You can go on experiencing everything smoothly when you are on a smaller map game. Coming to the larger studios developing larger maps, we can find a lack of detail per area. The better visuals cannot be obtained if you are working on the larger maps. Whereas, in small maps, you can see the small details designed perfectly that eventually makes the game so much better for the players. Better visuals in smaller maps results in better adventure, which we cannot get in the bigger maps created by large studios. Most of the bigger studios focus on combat games that test skills, intelligence and fighting with different weapons. The theme that comes from these combat games is always the same: kill or be killed. The main gameplay in most of the game is the same, the usual fight with weapons and enemies. Bigger studios only portray the combat games with violence, most of the time proves the lack of creativity and imagination. Combat doesn't need to be the central focus of the game. But the smaller studios show that there are so many other categories that are left to be explored, like non-violent ones with the more varieties. A greater variety of genre can be obtained from smaller studios, which gives a broader field for the industry, with no sacrifice in quality. More varieties, stories, and unique mechanics often attract a lot of gamers, just like the variety in food, make it so much better. Variation in games makes it interesting and more attractive, which is the motto of the smaller studios, that is to give the best product. Conclusion of the video essay is that lack of funding and technology does not affect small game development studio, as they somewhat come with innovative ideas to put on the game that allows more engagement in the video game. We can see nowadays that small game development studio has been growing passively in gaming industry. This is due to a lot of engagement. At last, small development studio have been providing variety of small open world games which a player can enjoy from it.